Cisco Technology Limited today on 0975 704991 or 0967 942446 or visit our website on www.chescopos.com.
Agri Talk at Money. Agriculture Talk. Updates. Insights on Agri Talk on Money FM. Your business radio.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Money FM. Welcome to Agri Talk on Money FM 93.7. Now, this is a brand new program brought to you with the compliments of Money FM, and our main aim is to uplift the agricultural sector in Zambia. So it's all about Agri Talk, talking about various forms of agriculture in Zambia, and of course how you can actually build your interest in the agricultural sector. Our first episode today will be dedicated to discussing maize farming amidst drought and armyworms. How can we maximize yield as we are looking at production of maize? And of course, to help me discuss this particular issue of great magnitude is none other than Mr. Felix Mbewe, who is my special guest on the program today. Mr. Felix, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to Money FM.
Thank you so much, Nelson, and thank you so much, listeners and viewers.
We're so happy that you could join us, and of course, to those who are not able to get us live on radio, you can as well join us via Money TV Facebook page. So just type Money TV Zambia, and of course, we are live on that particular page. And for your contributions, you'll be coming through on 0978 069018, 0978 069018. To begin our conversation, Mr. Felix, maize is our staple crop, but over the years, the statistics have shown that production has definitely gone down due to a couple of factors that have led to that, starting with drought and of course the infestation of armyworms. Let's talk about just maize production itself. Just of what importance is it to our country as Zambia?
Okay, thank you so much, Nelson, once again. So, discussing maize is something that is passionate about, and it's really a great topic. And to us, Zambians and Africans at large, this, by the way, it's not an indigenous crop, but it has stayed with us since it was introduced to Africa by the colonial masters, and we've adopted it to be a staple food. So you can see even from the time of politics, cultural changes and everything else, maize plays a very critical role. If you play with maize, and everything is messed up, because people now are fixated, we are all attached to the shima, because that is what we survive on. So looking at 2-3 years back, there's been a decline in maize significantly for the nation of Zambia. So it's really a big topic of concern to the nation.
For some people, they take maize as a political crop, something that attracts a lot of politics to it. Mm-hmm. Why is that so?
Well, as I mentioned, maize is our staple food. So we all eat. So to survive as a people, as a nation, we depend on food. And it becomes political in the sense that its production depends on the government. Majority of the maize that we produce is bought by FRA. And the production cost of maize is really expensive if you do it without the support of subsidies, which is FISIP in this case. It becomes really costly. So it becomes political in that order because it needs external support for a farmer to be able to produce the maize.
What is involved, really, in the production of maize? I know most of us really grew up in families where we used to grow a lot of maize. It could be backyard, maize production, or maybe at a lima, acre, hectare, and so on and so forth. We used to do that. But you'd find that, at that particular stage, not much as it is pronounced today was involved. Sometimes we could use, organic, or we just get to a center fifth mabula, we just get leaves, we put them together, bend things, and that was acting as, fertilizer for the soil to make it, fertile for the production of beans. Is it
Exactly.
still the same even today?
Well, it's changed. The trend has really changed because of the number of factors. In order for you to have a bumper harvest, producing good crops requires more than just doing the odd way or the ordinary way of farming. As you've mentioned, Nelson, in the olden days, it was easy. People would just grow things, maize in particular, without a lot of effort. But today, because of the changes in the varieties of maize that we have, the demand is so much in terms of inputs. You need the fertilizers, you need pesticides, you need herbicides, you need the seed, which is hybrid. Now, if you look at all those things, they cost money. I can give you an example of today. To buy a 1 bag, 50 kilo bag of fertilizer, which is D-compound, it costs around 900 to 1,000 plus. Now, on an hectare, you need maybe minimum 4 bags of that fertilizer. And that is over 4,000 kwacha already. And for you to plant that 10 kg seed, it costs around 700 to 800, even 1,000 in some places. That is already above 5,000. Then for you to buy the weed killer, which is a herbicide, they cost you money. For you to get the pesticides, because in the past 3-5 years now, we've seen also the rise in pests attacking maize, which is a mystery, which never used to happen. If you ask anybody or all my fellow farmers listening, all the people who started farming 10, 5 or more years back, they'll tell you that this never used to happen. But today, it's a thing that we are dealing with as farmers every day and every season. And by the way, for some of us that do farming throughout the year, I still get attacks from armyworms, for instance, in dry season.
So now, Mr. Felix, just to cut you short, probably now it puzzles people.
Yes.
Ududoyo,
The
Is
biggest.
this the way it used to be even in those days? Utudoyo, wenzeko originally bwanj. At the moment, utudoyo, kutokera kuti, which are making it very difficult to engage in food production. And when you talk about, increase in the imports,
Yes.
ngakudala, ayama imports, stands yafuna in terms of maize production.
Well, if you look at history, Nelson, kunalibe such things where there was so much in terms of inputs, my fertilizers, my pesticides, and suddenly there's this emergence of pests, particularly my armyworms, even in areas that you never expected. Why? It's a big question that we're still debating. I remember having a conversation with my grandfather, because we've been doing farming with him for years now, and I've learned quite much from him. And he was telling me that all these things, even if you look at tomato production like tuta, armyworms, maize, and other cereals, kunalibe kudala. But today, it's a struggle. Why? Is it a question of the new varieties of crops that we're introducing on the market? Is it because our lands have become so infested? Is it because new chemicals that are coming in and they're bringing all these things? But you just see them emerging. Now, I would give you a very, very clear-cut example. I do both kinds of farming, the conventional way and the climate-smart farming. In my fields where I don't practice the conventional ways of farming, I get to see less attacks. But in a field where I've put chemicals, put fertilizers, I need to constantly do that. But at what expense? At the expense of my land. So I get to ask myself, is it something to do with weaker crops that we have? Or it's just a game out there for the suppliers of these chemicals that they need business and they need to do this? Or it's the cost at which we're now doing production, we're paying the price of doing things the easy way. I feel maybe it's a latter. We have now crops that barely survive growth mumunda without putting chemicals. So if you look at the indigenous crops that our forefathers, our grandparents used to grow, they were easy to grow. No spraying, no fertilizers, but people could harvest. Then something came up, the idea or the notion of wanting to increase productivity. And now I think we are making a very bigger choice, an ethical choice, either go for production or do it ethically, reduce, and also have lower products or production.
Kudala malume. Tinali kusebenzesa midis ya meneja kuti takolola munda
Exactly.
ichameoneka bwino ija ikulu bwino ija
Musunga for.
tasungapo maybe kasaka kamozi kuti zizankhala ni mbewu.
Yes.
Why is that process not working today? Ija mbewu tikalima takolola.
Yes.
Mbewu, does it mean sizingamere?
So there are too many differences that you need to notice.
Okay.
The biggest one is this. Kuli mbeu, the ones that we're calling hybrids. Mkaona pale but F1, meaning ija mbeu, it has been modified. Implying that
modified.
Kutanthauza kuti mtasankha ma traits kapena ma behavior or ma characters kumbeu monga tifuna zolimba zezimakhala ma crops yambiri kapena yield yambiri zezimachita withstand certain conditions monga ti ma diseases kapena drought. So mukusankha mwe muja wanzatu wazungu, they have technology today of which you can mix your own sama traits pamozi and you make mbeu ili particular with these kind of characters. Ndiye mbeu ati ma hybrid ma seeds. But izo mbeu zamnalo kamba poza kudala ndiye mbeu ati ma OPVs ya zama open pollinated varieties. Nature kapena mwana na virengera mulungu vintu veka visa reproduce. But there are advantages and disadvantages pa is mbeu ziviri depending on wene mwasankhapo. So you'd find is zakudala kuti ushite harvest, for example muli 1 hectare, you're saying anifuna 120 because wa seed, for example I'll use as an example, or some seed or Syngenta or whatever it is, we have to supply the seed. They are saying pakasaka wanalemba to say akasaka ukashanga you harvest 120 bags ma 50 kg, but ija kudala maybe you harvest 20-30 bags. So now because umuntu timafuna vambiri, then you say okay nza shanga hybrid. Now a hybrid itanthauza kuti simungayishange 40 olo yamera, the harvest to be very very minimal.
So hybrid mbeu ya hybrid,
yes,
mukakolola,
yes,
simungayishange mu 40. Okay.
Why? Because imankhala wiki muli second generation mucha.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
ikabala
tutatubana because bachawana remember muli pollination field. Ishta pollinate na mbeu zili mfupi, and also the next crop sizankhala as strong as mai which ukapena parent wake. Sure.
Ngaka kulidwe kai zimbeu zibiri. Zimbeu za kuti atashanga atakololako tatekako zina taende ushangamo na ma hybrid seed. In terms of kakulidwe.
Yes.
Zimashita bwanje ani kukagwa chilala cha mvula zimashita bwanje.
In terms of mwere zimakulira kakulidwe ama OPVs za mbeu zili indigenous kapina za kudala muli natural state yake, they are the best. Local kutati local maize benangu ati kankata chani, they are all different terms depending na language yatu. Is mbeu they do very well.
Okay.
But in size kapina quantity and ima chepa in terms of output.
Okay. Output mutantauza chimilisi chija chimwana ukapena mutantauza tumasaka
masaka.
But chimilisi chepe kula chimakula chepe chikulu kwenu.
Not zonse zinango zimankhala certain size zinakutumankhala tung'ono.
Okay.
But the advantage kapena kubwino wake, you would find taste is always on point.
Okay.
Then quality ya production kapena ya milisi ya manager, it's always very good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Even the nutritional value, it's always so good.
Local.
Yes, I mean local.
Okay. Okay, interesting. And when it comes to surviving drought, chilala Chicago cha mene chakwera apa chilala apa.
Yes.
Vambiri mafama ali mambiri wanashanga koma, they are very worried and concerned because kwa chilala. Mvula silo kamene kulingana na mene chimafunira kuti iloke kuti milisi zatu zikule bwino. So ukashanga loko wabwashanga nayi hybrid. Kukagwa chilala zimashita bwanji zimbeu zibiri.
Difference ilipo, but what also contributes maningi ni ma practices for you to maximize per yield.
Okay.
So I'll give you a short background. Monga Zambia, you realize that mvula ienda ichepa. For instance, mu 2021 to into 2022 it was better, but 2022 going into 2023 inapashita bwanji mvula inaluka for like 2 months consistently aboya sida, which was a huge blow in fact, our president also declared into a disaster. Kuti mvula kulibe, and a lot of my farmers lost tremendously because the loss equal. Now, malimidwe kapena ma practices of farming compared to what used to happen kudala and what we are doing today is what is causing climate change kapena mvula kwamba uvuta whereby there's so much heat but we don't have enough rainfall. So you realize that is mbeu zibiri in terms of performance policy is you realize zakudala they would perform very well under these conditions. Yet pitamolero. But if you want to do well as a farmer, you want to maximize on your yield, you have to practice what they are calling climate smart farming. Meaning you have to look after, there's a common saying where they say, look after your soil, the soil will look after your crops, and your crops will look after your belly. Kapena njala, kusankala kulibe. Mukufuna kushita maximize my yields, you'd find lero, Tilimama 100 hectares, 200 hectares, but in order for us to do that, what have we been doing? Tista clear land, tijua mitengo, leaving out a lot of open spaces. Now, mvula tizo tista rely pa mitengo na vegetation around us. Then now, tasegula minda, tilimama hectares, which is a very good thing. But now, how do we have enough rainfall for those crops? And in the end now, there are other factors that have also suffered. For example, manzi usapeza ti olomulusaka muno, yanaenda patari maboho, they're drying up. All those are issues to do with climate change. Including our animals are suffering nice abantu. Tinamanzi ya ngono yokumwa. So, if you want to have proper yields, and you need to have, if you're desiring to maximize and make profit out of farming, by the way, you know ulimi, kapena farming, it's a very tedious job. It's labor intensive. Now imagine you invest your hard-earned cash, then you gain nothing out of it. You make zero, you go into negatives. So your choices have to start on how you're looking after the land itself. Then the land will look after a crop. Then that crop now will be profitable kuliwe as a farmer. Then on the choice of whether kushanga mbeu ili indigenous kapina za kudala or kushanga hybrids, it's up to you and what is the intention you're farming and oyster practice. Sure.
All right, to those who are just joining us, you are listening to Agri Talk on Money FM 93.7. We are also streaming live on Money TV Zambia. You can simply go to Money TV Zambia, and of course, you can join the conversation. Our topic is on maize production amidst droughts and armyworms. How can we maximize the yield? How can we get the best out of our maize production, even if we do not have enough water, and of course we do not. We are experiencing armyworms. How much rainfall does the production of maize require?
Well, on average, if within that space between November, payment season to March, February, you are able to receive at least minimum 20 millimeters yamvula in a week or more, then you'll be on the safe side. But what we are seeing now is 2-3 weeks, even a month, imasira, without the proper rainfall. Now here are the dynamics in terms of Zambia. You realize the northern region today is the one which has the highest rainfall patterns. But the southern part of the nation, which is the maize basket here, Zambia, it's receiving very little rainfall. Hence the challenge that we have. We have like 3 provinces, Lusaka, of which it encompasses part of central. Then we have southern and eastern province. These are the powerhouses of Zambia, or maize. But as of Lero, these are the places which are experiencing a drought and
Okay.
Sure.
Interesting. So, tikagamba pali dot ntaka.
Yes.
Ni dot ya bwanji mene milisi imavomera kuti kule bwino. And what is the best time frame of planting maize?
From way back, Zambia, just like the southern region hemisphere, Africa, our soils and even the time frames when to plant, it has always been around November, pakat pa 15th to 20th up. Then soil mainly that does well for maize production is loamy soil, and in some instances even clay. But maize needs soil really loose.
Okay.
Now with that at the back of our minds, the production of maize can happen kulikonsi. Okay? If you do the correct things. And the correct things are that you need to you work on your soil, ngati nthaka or dot nyoipa. So what you should do as a farmer, don't burn vija ngati makorola. Apo ndipo pali critical issue.
Okay.
Once you harvest, vevasala usaocha, lekani ngani ngombe zipitemo zividye, o viole mumunda mwemuja, let them rot. Then that way, you are rebuilding the soil. Restoration yet doti, it's key in maize production. Because maize is a heavy feeder. It eats on your nitrogen mdot. It eats on the phosphorus, calcium, whatever is there, is just a bunch to consume. But you need to support your soil by taking back those nutrients mdot. And ngatulipa farm kapena munda or many already dilapidated or depletion ya soil. You need also to rebuild. It's possible, and it takes a bit of time, between 3 to 6 years or so. And how do you rebuild? Kucha rebuild in Taka, it's easy. You start by practicing, I've been talking about it, climate smart farming. Using manure.
Okay.
Anima waste from ngombe, nkuku, nkumba, all these things that you have. Cow dung, mchizungu, or waste ya nkuku. You don't just go and throw it mumunda, mungashite so, but the best way is kupanga compost manure. There are just 3 major things that you use mwandu, kupanga manure aja. If into va green, va munda, va dry, like after must harvest, vivi masala, then matenga ija waste ya kunkuku kapena ya ngombe. You mix the two, maresho, maybe nga matenga 50 kg ya manure, you can get between 30 to 50 kg or so, ya shani, ya volume vija, matenga na very grain na veve, mix them, then yambani kusakaniza. Within 21 days or more, those things up to a month, bizanka rabwanji, bizanka are ready. You can use that as your fertilizers. Okay. So, those are organic ways of rebuilding your soil.
Mafunzo yana ngamene bantu mafunzo ambiri ni akuti manure ya bwino ngamushanga milisi. Ni manure yati and milisi pakukonzekera kuti tiyabushanga. When do you put manure before you plant? Not before you plant actually. When do you put manure? Is it after you have planted, before you have planted? When exactly?
Actually, the best way or the best time, manure application mumunda, you have to do it immediately after ngati mwashita harvest, mungapitisemo ngani plow, ngani ripa maripinga, ngani kuyuzinga kambwiri kapena kaso.
Malume, iyo ntawi mkamba hapo ni mameu.
You start.
So you're saying maize production, preparation of land. Ima pamene paja mukakolola chapi.
Yes. Actually, there's one fact Nelson James that I want to bring to your attention. Mu Africa, kapena mu Zambia to be very specific. Productivity time yabalimi, you'll be so shocked and very disappointed that it's only like 3 to 4 months. Meaning the rest of time bantu amakati bali nkale 9 months or 8 months. Mulimi ngati be months ochita ka garden, they just sit waiting for rain season kubwera. So from vambira mamba kusta prepare kapena kusosa munda in October, November wabyala. Then by March, April vamba kuyuma vintu mu May mchosa. Then from May up to again October, most farmers they just sit, which shouldn't be the case. When proper farming implies that immediately after harvest, whether in April or in May, you could put some plow or you start potting kapena gampani, kukumba to migodi. Mukakumba migodi, you put your ash kapena mirota or imitoi, umeweka miranza watu wawemba. Maashes. Imitoi kapena maashes, they neutralize. Vamumba ula, kapena vapanku ni vosara pa muliro. Nikondo ika mumunda kapena mujamwane muzakashanga to neutralize dot or to improve also ni aeration and also ntaka ya dot. So it's a practice, it has to happen pamene pache mukachosama. So the first part ni aneja maika vija, then you also add manure, or any organic matter mumunda mwanu. Then if you're waiting for the rain period again, yapita May, June, July, again nishimauzi ya mera. You go back mwamba kukonzeka munda, September is a period, August, September, then you can aerate your soil, loosen your soil. Ngati manyoya ya karipo enango, you can add some more. Then you also dig a little, muja mwe muna kumba tumigoti, potholing kapena ni mchizungu. Mvula ya first, ya November, under conservation farming, tima biala, kapena tima shanga. Why? Because muja mu tumigoti, tuetina kumba, there's already manure and also tumasunga manzi. Then there's also mauzu, kapena ma leaves yeti masunga, tukaman mulch. Kapena kubo coveringa, blanket, japamwamba pawachani field. And that mulching has a lot of very beneficial benefits for you as a farmer and also kudoti. One, termites, even these armyworms that you're hearing of, they will begin to feed on that organic matter and to decompose, meaning there's again more nutrition for your crops. Once yashita decompose, mwaba mwabiara wa mashanga, olo kwa bwera chirara, Mr. Zulu. 2-3 weeks, could be mvula, tuja tumigodi, kapina muna repinga moja na plow, muma salira manzi. And it's excessive evaporation that happens due to heat, for example, in it's very minimal, kulija munda wetina shita mulch. It's covered, because zuba imenya pamwamba chape. Meaning mbeu yanu even just from moisture kapena mame, just that is enough, ija dew ya kuseni ija. It will keep your crop na enough water, at least in mvula pesa kabwera next, it will survive. But on the economic part, I encourage farmers to do farming throughout the year. Okay. Why? Because farming is a daily job. Since it was in October, was it sakulira mu November, December, or January, wasiya wankara, wambembegeza ukashita harvest mu May or mu April. Then again after May to the next October, you're just seated. You have to do it every day. But there's another issue, maybe which can be a topic for another day, issue of mans. Most farmers, our small-scale farmers, they face a big challenge of water. They don't have the capacity to buy irrigation. They don't have the capacity to buy solar. Now, there are things or ways or platforms or companies which, if time will allow, I can mention which farmers can go to and apply for those soft loans and they'll get equipment. Charge like 6,000, 10,000 kwacha, then you'll be able to water to 1 lima, 1 acre, and you do your farming throughout the year. Don't just sit. It's a time you could be on for. Sure.
Earlier, mwemwandena kuti alimi wakakolola.
Yes.
You should avoid burning. Why avoid burning? Because I think it's a very, very common practice. Where abantu ngawakonzekera kushanga mbeu. The first thing that you're going to see a lot of fires around.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Just like that. Exactly. But you are here telling the farmers to say, let us not be burning. Why?
So I'll take you back to the common practices. And another which practice these people from the northern part of Zambia. Remember, Chitemene system. The idea was good, at the same time detrimental.
Okay.
So, whereby vantu varari kuocha munda kuti wafuna kuita manure ajani masara kumashes papa ne shoka paja pa masara ko manure. But you find ukashanga lero next year, third year zero ndaka ijashita bwanji ya sira. What happens is this, and it is the reason why I'm saying do not burn its mudoti kapena in the soil. Mulima living organisms. These are called humus. Tudoyo tungono tutuma panga uti doti ngaina ndaka. Ololero kata chakudya mdoti. Or a leaf. Or matepo. Mchinyanja. Or anything chamoyo chukashitaira mdoti. Even a dead animal muntu. Mkamsia mdoti ama mboshita bwanji kuola. Meaning they are organisms that causes them to kuola. And those again they feed on tupi kapena ya matepo yaja and they produce nitrogen. In nitrogen, it is a basic component ya farming. Ni chakudya che mbeu zimachitapo survive. manje ungatwapitisapo muliro tuyatudoyo chita bwanji upaya, meaning all that nutrition yeza fanika kuti mbewu yako ibwereka diepo izapeza mulibe cause iwona chita bwanji unaocha. Number 2, munda wanu uzasala open, mphepo ikabwera kuli ija erosion kapena nthaka ili open, mphepo ikabwera isapoya bili itenge nthaka yonse. Again mvula, when it rains your fields there will be corrosion, manzi ya mvula yazatenga. As the maize, as the rains is pouring, ima bwana mpamvu papepe iyenda itenga ichachani doti ya pamwamba, the topsoil, which is very good for production ya mbewu. So it's a reason why we are saying osa ocha. Then ngasimuna ochi munda usuna ochemo ija doti izo fanga yende na mpepo, izo fanga yende na manzi, it stays, it's trapped na viva vinasara munda. Then above all, kuli carbon monoxide. Kuli wanzanga wastes za kutanthauza kwa carbon monoxide ni mphepo yoipa yene imakhala produced na chusi kapena smoke. Iyi pakuocha kuja chicha chusi cha black chicha, it's not good for your health. You realize that kuli wanyama, kuli wantu wewe wapema mu environment. Now you are taking that pollution smoke yoipa into our ozone layer. Now you're experiencing this kutuna kuli acid rain. Awe kunagwa mvula inaocha ndaka, inaocha mbewu. Ni amene ijenechoka kusani mkuvocha ocha. So ni pollution yanemza kozinga and it will cost you. Kuipa kwa kaena, it doesn't happen overnight. So you'd find Mr. Zulu kuocha kwa wanaocha makolo watu 30, 40 years back. Vetimvera impact ndise lero. So those are the dangers of burning minda or osanga ilionse. Sure.
Mr. Mbeo, when you look at today, over the years we have done agriculture tachita ulimi watu pamtawi yaitati.
Yes.
I think starting from the late 1990s up until where we are today. We have done our agricultural activities with support from chemical fertilizer.
Yes.
But lately, taona kumene vantu futi mambo kama pale organic farming.
Yes.
If we were to think of organic farming today, especially where maize is concerned,
yes,
can we do fine as a country?
It is possible, no son.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, it has its own costs. The biggest cost here, conservation or organic farming, it's the labor.
Okay.
Why? You need to work with your hands. Thank God today, in advanced countries like Israel, Nakuma, Scandinavian countries, they've come up with a technology to do it the better way. But in a southern country, least developed countries like Pwetiriri Sedero, unfortunately, we can't afford that technology. Meaning, tifanko limana manja, kapena makasu. And imagine also on the stress on the body to plow, even reaping or to go and dig. Mumunda, potholding is a company. 1 hectare, which is 100 by 100. And unamunda 20 hectares. Uzaka sirizarit. Imagine a family of 5 to 10 people. On average, kutum stage 100 by 100 or 1 hectare, you need maybe 20 or 30 people kutum series in 1 month munda. Or you need extra money to hire a piece work one. Now, Zambia, lero, we have very few people who've got capacity to hire labor. It's a more reason why you are seeing you have all these small-scale farmers year in, year out, failing to produce things because capacity walibe. But now, there's hope. Having said that, I'm not here to discourage new farmers. I practice that also. But I'm telling you, there's hope when you start early. Start immediately after you harvest. Also, pomula, don't rest. Yaman kusa prepare mindazan. Yaman kuikumba, start potting, start reaping, start covering with mulch. Then, by the time you fika November, mindazan will be soft. You'll be able to till properly. no kumba no byala buno bwino. And it's a core that is there today. Because people I've seen the results, Nelson. From 2013, I for one have been practicing this. I've seen tremendous results, which are able to harvest double the maize that people are harvesting. We are using a conventional maize when there's a challenge like last year and today where there's a drought. The people who are able, I can give you an example of the farmers we taught kumashibuyunji, kuchadiza, kuma Eastern Province, Central Province, kuno, and in Choma and Monze, where farmers were practicing, there's a practice called farming God's way, or Gampani, or Yameni potholing, and it has been adopted by World Vision. It's been adopted by Agri Hope, Love for Humanity Foundation. These are people who are out there teaching farmers for free. So people need to look out for these organizations. They don't charge, and they'll teach you how to do it. Then you'll see that even in times of droughts like now, you harvest something out of your labor. But you have to be ready to pay the price, which is mpamvu zanu na wantu. You need to hire extra people ngati worker or you are a small family.
Okay.
Sure.
When it comes to the aspect of controlling armyworms or any other pests,
yes,
what is your recommendation? Because a part of the burning that people do is done to control these pests. That's why some people, some farmers, right now, when you go on social media, people are even complaining.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Yes. So there is all this, which is making agriculture more frustrating.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So this is a very good myth that I'm glad listeners, viewers, and people who are going to be interested in farming. This is a very big mistake that I've seen farmers burning, hoping that armyworms, kapena nkono, or snails, to those of us in Chizungu, who you think these are. Now, let me take you back to a little science, Mwewandu. I am armyworms. Yana life cycle ili pali 4. Okay? The number 1 ni my eggs. Number 2 ni my larva, which is the most deadly and dangerous stage ya hivi vintu. Larva. Vimaoneka mungani vinkuala so. Then ya number 3 ni tuma pupa, meaning to ready to lay eggs kunkala tukuru. Then the last stage ni tuma moth. Okay? So olomaretamo muliro, they'll fly away. Or to laying my eggs. My eggs, they lay eggs in mudo tipans.
Okay.
So even if you burn today or after harvest, stumafa. Because it's not a final stage tunakula.
Okay.
Meaning mupaya makolo in short. But ivana, of which ni my eggs in their thousands and thousands. Bari mujani muntakayano. Now, solutions. I'll tell you, we have different types of armyworms, by the way. But the African armyworm, ndiri common mu Southern Africa. Armyworm, you have to first to know how to identify it, Nelson.
Okay.
Imaoneka branch. As a farmer, you need to scout or move around your field. Early enough nga mashanga, or pajanga mu plowing. You realize just randomly, open one of your maize. Pakati paja, ukafyanta ka maize, squeeze it. Nga sikaoneka ili infestation nga iliko. Then uzaona chima choka mga nchinkubala. Nishu kutu munda wa nkalachani attacked. Implying that ufunika now, that is what they're calling early patrols or early checkups ya munda wako. You need to go on the ground and apply the first response. It is kwamba kusta spray in a very, very organic way. Common things that you don't even really think of nyumba, Mr. Zoro. Viewers, listeners, and farmers, you can use soap ya manager, ya powder, to go and spray munda. Mwaika mapanga manzi, ma spray aja ma 16 liters, mwaikamo, is a powder, a manzi, you spray. Then, iyo manje, cause that dose, it's not as strong as the chemicals. You need to do it every week. Especially katika mvula. Cause uza spray alero, mayro mvula yaroka, ya shitabwanji, it washes away the soap. Yes. The other method you can use is the neem products. These are organic products. Wanzatu wa wazungu, they've made chemicals, and wanzatu wa science, they've made chemicals which are climate or environmentally friendly. And these are neem products or neem oils. You can spray. Those are sticky, yamankalako for a long time. But in a situation where mbewu yanu ututudoe to attack severely, you can now go for the conventional chemicals. You go to agro dealers, they've got countless chemicals. Now, do that with a cautionary mind. Why? Because the damage and the harm you're causing to your land, to your fields, is tremendous. As I mentioned, you will not see it today, but with time, you will definitely see it. So make sure you do it correctly and in moderate. So those are the common practices. Also, biala vintu, like for those of us in Mlomtaoni, you're a remote farmer, mwashanga, mwasirache farm manager wachokako. The care that your manager, your farm manager will have palija munda wako will not be as much as you. Frequently visit your farm. Patrol, move around the munda. Do these basic checkups. Check before you lose your hard-earned cash. So those are some of the practices. Then the best above all, the best is what I've been saying. Practice organic farming. Use chemicals which are friendly to the environment. Because once you're using that, Mr. Zulu, you will see there are small animals like malungi or chameleons. You will see tunyoni or birds. You will see other wildlife coming to feed on the worms. But ngati kulima nkwala kulima chemicals, nyoni sizadia vija vindu. Because they will be repelled, they will move away. So the natural and biological methods will naturally kick in if you're using climate smart practices.
Baba, what is the best stage in maize production? What is the best stage of controlling ututoyo? Ni pokonza minda, oposhanga, uzikakula, upokolola. At what stage?
From experience, what we've been doing and which I would advise other farmers to adopt, the best times is for preparation.
Around preparation.
You talked of importance. You asked importance here. Lime kapena maashes, agricultural lime. Ndiye ntimeka minda pachangatista prepare. If you don't have access or capacity to buy lime wija, or you don't have enough imitoi, maashes, or mirota, you can use agricultural lime. You can put pa mujamumza kafuno biara. It has all these properties which repel those things. That is number one. Number two, mukashanga, you need to make sure that munda, it has been well treated. That tudoyo tumulibe, meaning it's part of the process of early checking munda one kuti mulibe infestation ilionse. Then also, number three, ngati vashita germinate. Be on time, be on alert. Osa shanga chabe mwambwembekeza tati kaindo ikafertilizer manje. Muzadabu mondo ikafertilizer, mitu zonse milisi zinadiwa. So continuously you need to be monitoring your fields and be on the lookout for these worms. They are very devastating. You can imagine, Nelson, within a period of 5 days to 1 week, munda or one hectare can be taken down. That's how serious these things are. And it's a more reason why they are called the army worms. Chifukwa cha mpamvu kapena capacity tulina to kuononga. They move like soldiers, muri a troop or a platoon, military terms. So they move in masses, and as I mentioned, they lay eggs in thousands and thousands.
Kukagwa chilala, as we are winding up. Kukagwa chilala mene chagwera apa chilala whereby mvula silo kakulingana na mene alimi angafune kuti mvula elokere. What should farmers do? So,
fellow farmers, actions ya mulimi uliwonse, it's not a reaction. What I mean is this. Mulimi ni muntu amachita farming by faith. You have to be a man of faith. You practice faith a lot. Implying that you put your seed or your money mudoti, hoping that mvula izaloka bwino. Now, in an instance that it doesn't rain properly or in the ways that you wanted, what do? Adequate preparation kicks in. This means that you have to prepare early. And by preparing early, I mean you have to do it the correct way. Such that in a situation that mvula sinaloke bwino, you should have enough water trapped muntaka yanu kapena mdoti yako. Number 2, you need also to rely now, there's good technology pamafoni hayetili nayo. There are these applications which give you almost accurate weather forecast. I know there's been all these jokes that people make memes about our Zambia meteorological department. They give you forecasts, meaning they are tentative projections. But yourselves, as a farmer, you can have applications which can give you real-time data to monitor malokedwe ya mvula, ma projections. Then you can plan based on that. Then in a situation where things happen, they don't go your way, you've taken all these precautionary measures, you've done all things that you think is possible and it's right as a farmer. But again, shirala chabwera, there's no rainfall, or mvula sinaloke according to the way it should rain. Please, and please farmers, I urge you, per stage peti endera, look at the type of maize, to discuss milisi, or even any other crops. Always go for either early mature milisi or medium. Why? Because even if mvula look just for 2 months, you'll be able to harvest. Then also go for drought-resistant varieties. All these seed companies, mukaenda kuma expo, kuma demos, expos, they talk about these things. Go and inquire. Kuti ni atima varieties yari drought-resistant. Kapena yamine yama kula bwino in times of chilala. Then they will advise you. Also, which crops are resistant to doyo? Niolimba, they can withstand to doyo. They will advise you. But if you just do it without consulting, without doing your research, you'll always be crying and saying, farming ni chape. Farming is not for the faint-hearted. Uliminoma loss. That is not the objective of farming. The objective of farming is for you to have food, number 1. But number 2, which is the most important objective, it should be a source or a way of earning a living for you as a farmer and for you as a business person. Also, tenga ulimi, the way it used to happen in Kudala, as just one of those things, when we're young, you're frowning, you're not happy. Today, I do it joyfully. I'm happy. And I want all young people to be involved because it's a business. Look at it as a money-making venture. Then there are all these things that you can attach to farming. Value addition, you can be a supplier, an input supplier, you can be a consultant, you can supply your services, products, via irrigation, version. All these things you can do under farming. So with the drought, with all these things that happen, farmers, please let us be ready, let us prepare. Invest a little. Buy simple irrigation, masola, kumbani visime, wells, if shima. Ngamaimba, then you'll be able to water. Use to my pump, to my diesel. There are all those things to your nato. You can use all those things, then begin to grow from there. Sure.
Wow, Bambo Felix, thank you so much for coming through to help us really discuss this important topic. Hopefully to see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much, Nelson. It's been a pleasure.
All right, everybody who's been listening, we've been discussing maize production amid this drought and when infestation, how can you maximize your yield amidst all these problems in our agricultural sector? My guest was Mr. Felix Ngo to help us really understand some of the issues surrounding this. So join us next week Thursday, sometime between 10 and 11 and 12, as we'll be coming through with another edition of Agri Talk on Money FM.
me any more after I've got. Oh, dear people. Sorry. So sorry. I'm so loud.
Good.
I wish you this